Hello and welcome to the full moon eclipse in Taurus and all the chaos that goes with it. I do not know what my hair is doing today, but it feels very fitting for the wind-blown chaos of this eclipse season. If you are new around here, welcome. My name is Shea Walker. I'm an intuitive coach, an oracle deck creator, a Reiki teacher, and I do these tarot readings at the new and full moon every month. The collective version happens on YouTube, and the extended version happens over on my cosmic community, also known as Patreon. If you're into subscribing to services that provide you with tarot card readings on a monthly and weekly basis, astrology forecasts on the new and full moon, special events like live group therapy sessions where I pull cards for everyone present, and also yoga, movement for your body that's inspired by astrology, you might want to head over to patreon.com/MichelleShea and check out the different levels over there. So I'm currently filming this forecast a week in advance of the actual full moon. I am currently in the thick of that transitional eclipse season energy, and I can speak to that. And quite frankly, I feel like as an intuitive, I experience the energy of the moment a few days or weeks prior to what everyone else experiences. So if I speak to what I'm going through right now, it's probably what you're going through at the time of this full moon a week later. So eclipse season. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. Lots of astrologers are talking about it. Lots of non-astrologers are mentioning it. So to me, what it is an opportunity for big change. Now, if you are not new around here, you know that I am a big fan of big change. I have absolutely no problem with a metaphorical tower card happening in my life because I know that it's going to put me down a better path. But that doesn't mean that it's always comfortable. So this period between our new moon eclipse in Libra and our full moon eclipse in Taurus has been a little uncomfortable and maybe not consistently uncomfortable. This has been kind of a spring up in the moment type chaotic energy that's been happening between these eclipses, and I can't tell if I think that that's better or worse. But the point being is we're tackling a lot of issues around comfort because Libra likes to try and find comfort in relationships, and Taurus likes to find comfort in their environment. So whenever the eclipses happen in these signs, we are shaking up our energy around what makes us feel comfortable. We're reevaluating that. So you might have found that some situations that used to feel comfortable are now really feeling uncomfortable. You might find that you are feeling uncomfortable in general in your life because you're in a transitional period and you're looking for that state of comfort. But that's beneficial as well because whenever you know what you don't want, you better have an idea of what you do want and you can start to manifest that in your life. So what does that mean for us today? It means that I'm going to, yet again, switch things up. And I'm going to do a longer general collective reading. Normally I just do a couple cards for the general collective and then head over to the Patreon to do a reading that's 10, 12, sometimes 13 cards. And we're going to invert that this time. I'm going to do a longer 10 to 13 card reading for the general collective. And then I'm going to dive in sign by sign for advice over on the Patreon. So if the general collective reading that I'm about to give you resonates for you and you want specific advice for your sun, moon, rising, Venus, north node, whatever parts of your chart that you want to check in on, you will want to head over to patreon.com/MichelleShea. And I'll give you a little secret. You can do a 7-day free trial of any of the levels available. So go. Check out the levels, join the 7-day free trial, get access to this extended video, and watch to your heart's content. And you can even go back through previous videos because they are all evergreen and watch the extended versions of those to get extra advice. I'm all about milking a free trial to really see what's available in any sort of offering. So enjoy. Make that cosmic community your playground for 7 days, and I hope that you'll stick around. Another new thing that's been happening over on the Patreon is a chat option. So I like to pop in there every once in a while when I either know astrologically that something's happening that's important, or when I feel in the energy that something's happening that we need to talk about. So if you like more up-to-the-minute advice on the astrology of the moment, that is also available through the Patreon app. So without further ado, we're going to dive into our first card for the general collective, which is from the Total Betty Goddess deck. This is the second edition of the 90s themed goddess deck that I created. It is available for pre-order over on michelleshewalker.com/shop. So go check that out if you want to get this for the new year for extra guidance for your divine feminine energy. And we're going to shuffle up the deck and we're going to figure out what energy is just overarching for this Taurus full moon eclipse. We got a lot of cards that fell out, but one in particular flipped over. Oh, my ribs. And quite frankly, I couldn't think of a better goddess card for Taurus energy because our goddess of the moment is Hathor, played by Brandy in Moesha. And she is the goddess of comfort and a harmonious home. So Taurus energy loves a good, cozy home environment. And I can relate because I'm a Cancer sun sign, and we also like a good, cozy home environment. I also think it's a really fitting time of year because if you are in an area where the seasons transition and you're in the northern hemisphere, it's getting a little chillier. It's got that full fall coziness. I know I'm in Chicago in a 1920s building where my radiator steam heat kicks on, and just the smell of that makes me want to curl up with a blanket and have a hot cup of tea and hibernate for the rest of the winter. So if you are feeling those energies, that's okay. Go with it. You have my full permission to harmonize and hole up in your home during this Taurus full moon. And quite frankly, because eclipse season gets a little funky, that might be the safest place for you. If you want to venture out into the world, I personally will be giving tarot card readings on the evening of this full moon. So if you're in Chicago, you can check that out. I'll put a link for that below. But whether you're out and about or you're cozy at home, having a cozy home environment just as your anchor, regardless of where you are, is going to be really valuable at this time. And honestly, we can use this both as a physical location and a metaphor for the home that you create within yourself. So however it is that you make yourself feel cozy and safe and in harmony with your home, whatever that might be, that is what you want to do for this full moon. And the reason being is that these eclipses are creating a lot of really intense change. And so you want to have some sort of rootedness. If you're familiar with the chakras, I nerd out on them a lot because I'm an energy healer, but the root chakra is like our baseline needs. It's kind of like that hierarchy of needs pyramid in that you need your security as a base for any of the other needs in your life. And so once you've got a safe and secure home-based location, then your wants can start to grow. Your desires can start to grow. You can start to manifest more because that's taken care of. But if that's not taken care of, if that's feeling a little out of whack, it's hard to manifest beyond those purely survival instincts because you're trying to find a safe space for yourself to land. So create that safe space for yourself to land both physically and internally this month. If you're familiar with the way that I like to do divine feminine and divine masculine readings, it's about creating divine feminine and divine masculine union within yourself before you try to find a partnership outside of you. It's a really great time period to be working on those energies. So if you feel that you lean more to a yin or feminine or lunar energy, you might want to try and embrace more of your yang solar masculine energy underneath this full moon and vice versa. But you want to create a space that feels whole and complete and harmonious so that you feel safe and secure and rooted to go out into the world and manifest even more for yourself. With that out of the way, we're going to dive into the Modern Witch Tarot, and I'm going to pull a larger spread, which is what I usually do over on the Patreon. So if you've ever wondered what the Patreon extended readings entail, they entail a longer past, present, future reading, and that's what we're going to do here before I move into the sign-by-sign readings over on Patreon. What kind of energies? We've already got some jumpers, so let's take them. We've got the Five of Cups, the Moon, and the Ten of Wands. So in our recent past, we got some energy, and we'll get to it in a second. Present underneath this full moon, Seven of Cups, Five of Wands, and the Hierophant. In the future, Six of Swords, Five of Swords, Three of Swords, but we're not going to leave it there. Let's keep going a little bit more. Ooh, I like the World. Let's get a little more clarity. One more. Eight of Swords reversed. Underneath the deck, we have the Queen of Swords. I'm going to do one more for underneath the deck. Four of Swords. Okay, I like this. I'm not going to lie. This is some chaotic energy. This is some eclipse energy right here. So in our recent past, just prior to this full moon, we have the Five of Cups, the Moon, and the Ten of Wands. So the Five of Cups is an indicator that we're maybe not looking in the right places of our life to feel satisfaction. It's an energy of looking at your disappointments rather than your victories, or looking at your losses rather than what's right around the corner waiting to be gained. And the moon card right after it indicates that this is bringing up a lot of our shadow self. It's bringing up things that need to come to light if you have the courage to look at it. So if you are the type of person that's watching tarot card readings online, you probably are on a spiritual journey. And that's great because you cannot be afraid of looking at your shadow self and looking at the things that need healed in this energy. That is what these eclipses are about. The Ten of Wands indicates that a lot of this energy might be in regards to carrying burdens, both carrying your own burdens that maybe you should delegate to others, carrying the burdens of other people around you that you care about that are not yours to carry, and also carrying generational burdens from your family line or even from past lives. I told you this was chaotic, heavy eclipse energy. So we are talking big picture energy underneath this preamble to our full moon. So if you've been feeling a little bit disappointed, a little bit burdened, a little bit in your feels and in that sort of darker emotional energy, know that that's normal. Please, please, please take care of yourself. I'm getting big hits that hydration is key. And even if you think that sounds absolutely ridiculous for the state that you're in, if you're feeling extra depressed, if you're really, really in a dark place, sometimes those little tiny habits of creating a little bit of wellness for ourselves, a little bit of self-care, really make so much more of a difference than we think they're going to. So it's kind of that feeling if you've ever been sick or in a funk for a period of time and you finally have one day that you get up and you make your bed or you do your laundry. And just that little shift in your environment really helps you to feel like you're coming out the other side of something. That's what I'm getting for the hydration. There's something about making sure that you're drinking enough water for a lot of us that's going to help to subtly shift the energy towards self-care. Other things, obviously, for bigger picture is making sure that you're not trying to carry around the burdens of others. This can happen both consciously and unconsciously. So one of the things that I want to talk about is empathic energy burden. So if you consider yourself an empath, or if you just don't even know what an empath is, but you're just a really open-hearted, spiritually connected person, you can pick up on other people's energy just simply by being in the same environment with them or even having them have you in their thoughts. So it's really important at this time to set up some really powerful energy protections for yourself on a daily basis. Now, you don't want this to come from a place of feeling fearful because that's just going to make the energy heavier. It's not about being afraid of the energy around you. It's just setting up practices to protect yourself before you get into a space where you have to feel burdened by something. So it's the same idea as putting on sunblock before you go out in the world every day. It may not be that you're going to the beach or that you're going to have a lot of sun on your skin, but if you put it on in the morning, you don't have to think about it the rest of the day. You know that you're protected. It's not coming from a place of fear. It's just coming from a place of proactivity. So please put into practice something that makes you feel energy protected before going out into the world. If you want suggestions for this, I have a blog post and a podcast episode on a ritual to call back your power. I also have a class called Become Your Own Healer, where you learn not only how to self-heal with Reiki, but also how to protect your energy on a daily basis with a method that I use every single morning. And I'll link to both of those below if you're interested in that. And then finally, of course, there's the conscious action that you can take to recognize whenever you are trying to help someone when they should be helping themselves, or when you need to delegate something to someone else in your environment because you are too heavily burdened. We're learning boundaries. We're learning delegation. We're learning energy protection. That's what's happening in this eclipse season. Moving forward into the energy underneath this eclipse, we have the Seven of Cups, the Five of Wands, and the Hierophant. So this is still chaotic energy, but it's chaotic energy kind of coming out the other side of things. The Seven of Cups indicates that we have a little bit of energy to be able to daydream here. So it's not so much that we're taking immediate action underneath this eclipse season, which is pretty standard for an eclipse. It's not really something that you want to be really impulsive about. But it's a great energy to get a little daydreamy and think about what it is that you're trying to call into your life and try on different life scenarios through your imagination. Now, the Five of Wands indicates that some of the things that are holding us back from our dreams might be a fear of competition or comparison, which I feel you, I get it. But know that you are the only person that can bring the energy that you have to the table, regardless if you're doing something similar to someone else, or if you feel like someone else has done it before you or at the same time as you and is doing it better or is more popular. They still don't have exactly what you are bringing to the world. And there are two things that might help you to unlock the confidence in this area. The first would be to maybe find a teacher or a mentor. The Hierophant often indicates there's some sort of spiritual role model that can help to show you the way. Now, this could be an actual interaction that you have with this person. Maybe you sign up for a class, maybe you ask someone to give you advice, or it could even be an influence that happens whenever you follow someone new online or sign up for their newsletter or take a class from them online. You may not physically be interacting with them, but you're still learning something from the way that they have gone about things. Now, this sounds counterintuitive because we're talking about getting over the thought process of doing things like other people or that other people have already done it better than you. But sometimes when you learn from someone else, even when you're learning their method, it inspires a new form of action within you. You learn to try it on in a way that feels comfortable to you. And that's kind of what our Seven of Cups energy is telling us to do, is to try on different aspects of the same costume. So I'm actually getting kind of a little Halloween-esque metaphor here, and that like if these are all your costume options, the goal ultimately is to go out to the world in costume. But you still want to like try on each of these to see how the costume fits, if you have the right accessories, if you feel good in that character, and then make your decision from there, even though they're all leading to the same goal of dressing up. So the Hierophant is simply giving you the closet of costumes, and then it's up to you to try them on, to transform them, to make them your own, to find the one that feels the most authentic representation of what you're trying to present to the world. And then through that, that's how you're going to distinguish yourself from the competition around you, because you are the only person that's going to wear that costume in that exact way. But again, the moral of this story is you might need a teacher to help unlock it, or my little asterisk on that is for a smaller portion of you watching, you might need to become the teacher. So I'm actually going to take a not so positive cliche and flip it on its head, because what I'm hearing right now is those who can't do teach. And what I want you to think of here is that maybe there's an end to that statement, that's those that can't do teach, because then they'll get the confidence to go do. And that's not how the cliche goes, but that's the energy that I'm getting from this statement, is that just because you feel like you can't go do it, if you can teach it, you realize that you know more than you think you do, and then that'll give you the confidence to go do it. So one of those two things is accurate: find a teacher or become a teacher. Either way, you're unlocking the energy to feel confident and moving forward. In the near future, following this eclipse season, we have the Six of Swords, the Five of Swords, and the Three of Swords. So this is interesting, first of all, because we're moving backwards in the number system. So this is telling me not necessarily that we're going backwards and as far as in our progress of things, but that we're moving backwards in a way that is giving us an opportunity to choose again. So I feel like there is something that was almost a missed opportunity in your life. It might have been career related, it might have been love related, it might have been a location that you thought you were going to move to that you never did. But this almost feels like this backwards movement through the swords energy is turning back the clock. Like Superman flew backwards around the world and gave us a second chance to choose again with an opportunity that we thought that we missed. So that's actually a really positive message, even though these cards can be a little heavier, and we'll get into that right now. The Six of Swords is actually not that heavy. It's moving away from something that was heavier. So right away, we're moving away from energy that's not serving us. So this is both letting go of the burdens that we talked about in our pre-full moon energy, and it's also actually extracting yourself, moving away from a situation that's not serving you. So that's going to be really important, and it's echoed in our extra card pull of the Eight of Swords that came out reversed, because that is telling me that we are going to be able to extract ourselves from the situation, but it's a little bit following this near future energy. But we're moving away from something. We're making the choice to move on, move forward from a situation that's no longer serving us, to choose again, to make the choice that we feel like we missed out on, but we didn't actually miss out on because we're getting another opportunity at it. The Five of Swords is putting down our sense of conflict. So it's kind of taking that Five of Wands energy that we encountered underneath this full moon and learning to put down the swords, learning to put down the fight, to not feel like we are in competition with the world, and instead surrender a little bit to the fact that there's space for all of us, that there's a place for all of us, that we can all have success in this world in different ways. The Three of Swords does indicate that there is a little bit of heartbreak in this process. Again, eclipse season energy is never easy. It's about confronting the shadows, it's confronting the triggers, it's confronting the disappointments, but it's also ultimately to recognize what's not meant for you and move past it to something better. So I think that the thing that you're moving away from might feel a little heartbreaking. It's probably something that you dedicated a lot of time, a lot of energy to, that you really wanted to see work out, and it didn't. It ended up ultimately being not for you, and that could be completely outside of your control. And bravo to you for recognizing your wants, your needs, and your desires and moving on. While there is some heartbreak, it's not a defeat. It's absolutely a victory that you recognized your worth and extracted yourself from a situation that was not dedicated to giving you what you deserve. With that being said, I never like ending these larger spreads on a negative card, and the Three of Swords is pretty negative. So right after that, we pulled the World. So this tells me that this disappointment is very easily moved on from. And I think it's because you've had a lot of practice in your life recognizing when situations aren't serving you. And you recognize that that disappointment is always going to happen when you're moving on from something that you had hopes and dreams for. But you also have enough experience in life to know that what's on the other side of it is going to be so much better because it's going to be worthy of you. It's going to recognize your worth. So this closing out of a chapter with the World card is a really celebratory card. So rather than taking all of this ending energy that we're moving into and considering it something that we need to dwell upon and cry about and just feel like a forlorn failure, we are instead choosing the evolved path and recognizing that it's an opportunity to celebrate the closing out of a chapter, the learning of some lessons, and the moving forward into something better. And that comes with the Eight of Swords reverse energy, which is basically taking us from a situation that we felt like we were trapped in, that we couldn't extract ourselves from, and flipping it on its head and recognizing that now that we are inverted into a new perspective, a more positive perspective on the situation, a more empowered perspective on the situation, these ropes will just fall away, the swords will fall out of the ground, we can fly out of this situation and move into our true power and where we're meant to be in the world, where we don't feel like we're trapped. Underneath the deck with the Queen of Swords and the Four of Swords, all of this is based upon your ability, which I feel like is a relatively recent ability based on these cards and based on the energy of the moment, to only accept energy that is worthy of your vibration. So the Queen of Swords is very selective of the energy that she lets into her world. I like to think of a Queen of Swords visually as a castle with a moat and a drawbridge. And that drawbridge has no problem pulling up and keeping people out that don't deserve to be there. And so that's the energy that you are embodying. And that's why all of this transitional stuff is happening, because you were sitting in a lot of situations that weren't worthy of you, that didn't deserve to be inside your castle. And you're now learning to pull up the drawbridge and not let those energies in your environment and only let in those that are really worthy of being there. And that's going to be a real fun party in that castle when you have only the people that are worthy of being there and only the people that up level your vibration. This is also coming paired with the Four of Swords. So it's not all party energy. It's about finding a centeredness with your spiritual practice. So I think of the Four of Swords ultimately as a meditation card. If you don't meditate in a more traditional way, it's whatever your spiritual centering practice is. So whatever makes you feel really in alignment with your core self, your core values, and your core intentions, you want to make that a non-negotiable daily thing, because that is what gets you in this throne. It's what gets you in that castle with the moat and the drawbridge so that you know how to protect yourself and who to protect yourself from. If you have too much chaos going on in your mind and your external environment and you're not tuning out and tuning into your internal world often enough, it's hard to pick up on those signals. It's hard to make those decisions. But when you make tuning into your inner voice a regular practice, you can very quickly discern who is supposed to be in your environment and who you need to create those drawbridge like boundaries around so that you protect your own energy. So we are going to dive into a 1 to 2 card reading for each and every sign over on the Patreon. I'm going to say right off the bat, it's going to be important for water signs. Well, all of them, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. I'm getting big vibes of those energies. So if that's in your big 3 or important in your chart, you might want to check out the extended. And because we both have the Taurus full moon and the Hierophant card in the spread, Taurus energy is going to be important here as well. So if that's big in your chart, you'll want to check out the extended. And I'm getting maybe a little Aries energy, but I have no reason behind it. I'm also going to say that if you check out the extended, you might want to check out your Mars sign if you know it, because I'm getting big Mars energy, which is it's how we do sex, but it's also how we fight. And because we have all these conflict cards, like the 5 of Swords and the 5 of Wands, we'll want to really kind of check in with that area of our chart and see what needs to be kind of smoothed over so that we don't feel quite so combative. So if you're not moving on to the extended reading, but you enjoyed this one, I hope that you like and subscribe below. It helps to stamp your energy even more so into future readings. And if you are moving on to the energy of the Patreon, your energy is going to be stamped on that big because it's a smaller group and you'll probably be one of the only people being read for that sign because I can tap into that energy in the future right now. And if you're on the Patreon watching, the rest of your reading starts right now.